I'm having a wonderful, if a tiny bit spotty chat, and there's a good reason for it. My guest, Dr. Michael Shasberger, is in Florence, and he is conducting the Westmont College Orchestra on a trip through Italy. I'm going to want to ask him about how things are going there in Italy with the tour. But my main purpose in speaking with Dr. Shasberger today is about the 33rd annual Bach by Candlelight concert in Santa Barbara. It's a tradition in Santa Barbara, 33rd year, on Memorial Day, that is to say Monday, May 25th at 8 o'clock in the evening. The First United Methodist Church in Santa Barbara, which is very close to the county courthouse, for those of you who just need a ballpark. It is in downtown Santa Barbara, the First United Methodist Church. Bound to be a wonderful crowd because the programming this year is really exciting, and we're going to talk about it. Dr. Shasberger is Adams Chair of Music and Worship at Westmont College and has created a small miracle, if I may say so, in the past several years that he has been at Westmont. We now have a really fabulous music department there with he and his colleagues. The orchestra, the choruses there. Dr. Shasberger also conducts the chorus, along with the Gray Brothers and others. It's just a first-class music department at Westmont College. So now, we'll get to that too in a minute, but let's just can you give folks in Southern California an overview of what this event, this Bach by Candlelight concert, how it's going to be, what it's going to feel like, and who your musicians are?
It's a wonderful evening. As you said, Dan, it's the First Methodist Church, and I have built-in candles. So it's an ideal day. They ring the nave with these wonderful oil-based candles, and it sets the place beautiful. The program really gives people a chance to be up close and personal with musicians, both from the very intimate overhanging balconies and sitting up very close in the nave, so that the personal connection with the performers is really idyllic. It's a small and appropriately sized Baroque Bach orchestra of about 16 with continuo violins and harpsichord all woven in together. The program really highlights some of Bach's most accessible, popular, and yet sometimes not often heard secular music. We're doing the Bach Brandenburg 4, which is well beloved, and it's 3 soloists, 2 flutes and violin. And we're doing his cantata number 211. Hear the word cantata and think church cantata. But Bach was a storyteller. He loved to tell gospel parables, but he also loved to tell stories about who he was and where he was. And cantata 211 is affectionately known as the coffee cantata. He was a rather new innovation in Germany at the time, and the social strata in which Bach lived. And the Zimmermanns owned a coffee shop not far from St. Thomas Kirche, Bach's principal place of employment, and it was the hangout. It was way better than Starbucks in terms of the culture of the day, and that's just where they made music. And Bach would take his sons and play concertos on the evening, and there was a band of musicians, the Collegium Musicum, that Telemann had started, that Bach continued to culture when he would try stuff out, and this fun little parable. Quasi tongue-in-cheek morality play called The Coffee Cantata. It's about year-old Papa Schlendrian and his daughter Lizzie. He is trying to admonish to quit drinking this terrible weed called coffee. And it's a cute parable for any age, any time, a father to a teenage daughter. And it's a charming piece. I'm doing it as the father, Schlendrian, and appropriately we have a very appropriately aged young woman, Emily Wetzel, who just graduated from Westmont as a vocal performance major, being my daughter Lizzie, which is perfect for me. My other daughter, Rebecca, just graduated from Westmont. She'll be playing cello in the orchestra. So we got that father-daughter thing built in on multiple levels. Yeah. And we take a good spirit with this, doing it in English, so that we're telling the story rather dramatically and right in touch with the people that will be there. Gray Brothers is our narrator, and the narrator just sort of sets up the situation. So now here's what's going to come, here's what's happening, and then Lizzie and Schlendrian take on the telling of the story. We have sort of dueling arias. My opening aria is about how stubborn children are, and especially daughters. And then we have the recitative, or the dialogue. It's really a mini opera. And Bach, as we know, never wrote an opera, but he did write 2 of these cantatas that are secular and entirely storytelling. The peasant cantata is the other, and this coffee cantata. So that I warn her about the evils of drinking coffee, and she insists it's just the only thing that matters to her. And the cantata essentially goes through a litany of things that are important to her, or I think should be important to her, and will be denied her if she doesn't come across and give up this coffee. And we are taking some liberties with the text. There just isn't a lot of contemporary relevance to whalebone skirts and that sort of thing. So we're going to venture into the area of Calvin Klein fashions and Taylor Swift concerts that she might not get to go to, choose to drink coffee. Until it comes to the final crucible, I won't give that away. That would be a spoiler. I have to give a spoiler alert. But there is one thing that finally touches a nerve for Lizzie that turns her around. Well, her final aria shows that she's really not turned around. Rather, she's just in control. So we get all the way there, and then there's a wonderful trio at the end about what can we expect of these young women? Their grandparents drink coffee. Their mothers drink coffee. And it's just a wholesale surrender to the coffee in the world. It's very engaging. So that's going to be a lot of fun. The Bach By features three wonderful soloists. Those who know Tamsin Besseke, our concertmaster, have loved her performances for years with the orchestra. She's been a mainstay of the ensemble, frequently featured as a soloist, and here collaborating with two wonderful flutists. Sheridan Stokes, who just has the Los Angeles pedigree for flutists. From the movie studios to his work as professor at UCLA, to his concert work. If you don't know Sheridan Stokes, you've simply not been to the movies or watched television in the last 25 years. From the lead theme of Mission Impossible, if you can't whistle that tune in 7/4, or from Penny Whistle on the Titanic, you have heard Sheridan's wonderful work, and he's a charming man to work with, very accessible, so personal, down to earth. You would not think he'd done anything professionally from his demeanor, but as soon as he plays, you know just who he is and what he brings to the score. And then Andre DiMaggio, who's a flute professor at Westmont College, pairing up, and the three of them, I'm sure, will have charming interchange and really drive the heart and soul of the Port Brandenburg, which Bach wrote in his happiest days. This is music that was written when Bach was well employed and well loved by his employer, a young, growing family. There's just so much joy imbued in every turn of phrase and the whole character and culture of this music. It's hard not to enjoy it, and then when it's so up close and personal, and such gracious and endearing performance, I think people who come will enjoy it very, very much.
Yes.
Then Sheridan is the soloist on the cantata, and the flute soloist on the cantata, and then Andrea is the soloist on a Telemann suite for flute and chamber orchestra that will be presenting as well. So between the two of them, they both get to be showcased and then collaborate, and it's a wonderful bring of all of that.
Yes, and again, we're having a little difficulty. I will urge folks to be patient. It's a bit of distance, and you never can tell from hotel to hotel. Sometimes the reception is not quite so good, but I think the spirit is certainly there in what you throughout Southern California are watching and listening to. And I would say now, thank you very much, Dr. Shasberger, for giving me the connection between Bach and Telemann.
Yes, always.
So there is a very intelligent pattern to this programming. Let me, I wanted to. I think I kind of forgot to give the ticket information. Why don't give me a second? Let me do that. Well, we talked about this concert is on Memorial Day. It's Bach by Candlelight. The First United Methodist Church is going to be lit up beautifully. This is the West Coast Chamber Orchestra. It's presented by Cielo Foundation, and this concert at 8 o'clock in the evening on Memorial Day, May 25th. You can buy tickets, and they are, ridiculous. $10 to $25. A range of ticket prices for the public, $10 to $25. And for those of you in Southern California, the telephone number to call for tickets is the Arlington Ticket Agency in Santa Barbara, area code 805-963-4408. And this is quite a popular series, this annual Bach by Candlelight. So I would urge those who want to come up and have a lovely afternoon and evening in Santa Barbara on Memorial Day. This is a perfect opportunity to get out of Southern California, you know which part I mean, and head up to Santa Barbara. Listen, Michael Shasberger, you are in Florence with the Westmont Orchestra. How are things going? Let's touch on this tour of Italy.
We're having a wonderful time. We're calling this the V Tour because we're playing Vivaldi and Verdi, and we're traveling from Vatican City to Venice. We even started out in Palos Verdes and Venice Beach on our free tour in Southern California. So we're celebrating the victory all along the path. But we're having a great time. We have 60 student musicians, all traveling in one great big bus together, a van of instruments out behind, and we are playing the Verdi Overture La Forza del Destino. We're playing the Capriccio Italian. We're playing a beautiful, rather new contemporary American piece by an Iowa composer, Linda Robinson, called For a Beautiful Land, which she dedicates to all beautiful lands, which makes it really nice. We can play it here and also think of kind of Cope-esque in places and a little bit edgy as well to show some contemporary American spirit. We're also featuring a soloist. We have Emily, who my daughter Lizzie is traveling with us, singing Quando Men Vo as a special encore. Along the way, we've got some Coplands from Village of Spring, and a Vivaldi bassoon concerto with my colleague Dr. Paul Mori being featured with the bassoon soloist. But the most fun thing about concerts is an opening with the Italian national anthem. Catches them by surprise. They just stand and sing and smile and cheer, and they just know that we've made an inroad culturally.
Boy, is that good politic, I must say.
It really is.
And also, I was in my mind a little bit fearful. You are in your American orchestra repertoire. This is Italian music. We're
crossing the bar, absolutely. What I found over the years in touring in Europe is they love to hear that you know the culture and you know the repertoire and you want to bring classics into the mix, but they really love the American voice. You have to get a balance for that. Plus, our musicians want to play the great Italian music when we're in Italy. It's just this natural connection. Lucca today, the home of Puccini, to know that we brought Quando Men Vo, and we can sing about the Ponte Vecchio, really near the Ponte Vecchio.
Yeah.
You can do these things, so it means a lot, and then they certainly respect it. 2 nights ago, we were in Peccioli, beautiful little Tuscan mountain town, and the crazy wild bells in the cathedral bell tower ring out at the time of the starting of the concert, called the town, and the town filled in, and the town chorus sang 3 selections to warm the crowd up for us, and then at the Capriccio Italian, Tchaikovsky, and after the concert, one of them ran up and handed me a CD of their chorus, singing the Tuscan folk song that Tchaikovsky based it on, arranged by one of their chorus members and sung by their chorus. And they were so touched that they had heard this American orchestra play their melody. So it's a dual quality of culture that goes on.
Yeah,
but the West is stunning, and the people have been enthusiastic. We've had a great time.
Yeah, and just the great diplomacy of music.
Absolutely.
I'm going to repeat. I think we've pretty well covered everything. Let me make sure. Let me just repeat the information. It sounds like a broken record, but I want to make sure people know clearly when this concert is coming up. We are talking Bach by Candlelight in Santa Barbara, California, on Memorial Day evening at 8 o'clock in the evening. First United Methodist Church in downtown Santa Barbara, very close to the Santa Barbara County Courthouse. A perfect opportunity to park, have a meal downtown Santa Barbara, and then walk on over and catch the concert. Tickets are ridiculous, $10 to $25. There's something in there for everybody in terms of ticket cost. Arlington Ticket Agency is handling tickets. The area code in Santa Barbara is 805. The telephone number is 963-4408. And the big treat about this particular Bach by Candlelight is going to be a performance of Bach's secular cantata, the Coffee Cantata. And you heard earlier, I know we have a little bit of fuzzy reception, but Dr. Shasberger knows all about young daughters. So, Michael Shasberger, thank you very, very much indeed for taking a few minutes from. I know it has to be a pretty. It's got to be 10 o'clock by now in Florence, and for having a little chat with me. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you on Monday, the 25th of May. Thanks.
Very good, Dan. Thanks for calling. It's a great to talk to you.
Right. Bye bye.